My Italian now, Ty.
That's good. What'd you eat, Isaac?
I had bell peppers.
I don't think you had bell peppers.
I had what Josh gave me, babe.
He had sancho, which is the Japanese
Yeah,
numbing
Josh, you
pepper.
know what? I don't care about that.
Oh!
This is a podcast.
Oh!
What's this podcast called, Isaac? It's not what you think. Oh, we are here today to talk about Pecatonica beer, Donna's pickle beer.
That's not what we're talking about, babe.
We're not talking about that, but that's all right. We're drinking brandy. We're eating corn nuts. We're eating tater tots. Jason, what do you got to tell us today?
I got a little bit of pickle beer
He's got a little
today.
bit of pickle beer. Hey, I'm here with my least courageous co-host, Isaac Scafis.
Well, Jason wants to give me a kiss, but I won't let him.
My intelligent co-host, Jason Smith.
He's on the other side of the table, so it's a little hard.
My stinky co-host,
Who's
Josh
hard?
Quinn.
I thought I was going to be the intelligent co-host. Now I'm sad.
And we're here with the special guest, Ryan Quinn. What do you got to say?
My tongue is numb and I like it.
He likes kissing boys. Oh, shit, I can't say that. I can't say that.
Well, okay. Anyway, Jason, I heard you brought us a crazy story today. What do you got to tell us?
So I do got a little story for us today.
No, yeah.
You know, how many of us here at the table like Prem's meat? I know they're not a sponsor
oh,
yet.
hell
but-
yeah.
meat.
Get the truck.
So, you know, real good, awesome stuff over there.
Really?
So we're not going to be talking about the Prairie du Sac one,
Really?
but kind of in the area of Spring Green. We all know where that's at, right?
Yeah.
We all know where
Around the
Spring
No,
Wisconsin
Green's at.
I've been there.
We've all been there. We've been camping a little bit.
He has been
So-
there.
Isaac has poop on his mic.
And how many of you guys have ever heard of Frank Lloyd Wright before?
I have.
He flies planes.
So he
Everybody,
That's so right, brother.
Is that not what he said?
No.
everybody,
Wait.
Right?
everybody always wants to talk about Frank Lloyd's rights, but everybody wants to talk about Frank Lloyd's wrongs.
You know, so he made some
Why is that
buildings
sizzling?
and all
Why
that.
is that sizzling, Josh?
And so what we're going to talk about is one particular building of his called Taliesin. So I don't know if anybody has heard of that one here at the table here,
I'm
but
not.
it's a little building that he had just south of Spring Green.
In Isaac's house?
It's not Isaac's house. If it was, he'd be real famous, though.
Wow. How'd you do that?
Yeah.
How did you
Did
do
he
that? Don't do that again.
But Taliesin, which I'm probably going to mispronounce like 80 times through this because like I cannot talk. So it's a house studio complex just outside of Spring Green, Wisconsin. So it's a little bit south, like on 23. And then if you go west on C,
South of where, though, Jason?
Spring Green, Wisconsin.
South of where to start with?
South of where?
Albuquerque.
We're recording from.
Oh, we're in Madison,
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
Middleton.
So relative to the town of Spring Green, so if you're going to shoot west on 12, shoot south a little on 23.
I don't shoot very
another
far.
West over on C, you'll end up finding it.
Okay.
So it's a little complex developed and occupied by Frank Lloyd Wright, which some people have heard of. So currently it's like a 600-acre estate. And if you're really into the whole architecture scene, it's basically the spitting image of like the Prairie School style of architecture.
Prairie du Chien?
Not quite.
Prairie
Not
du
quite
Sac.
that far.
Prairie du Sac?
No, this is in Spring Green. But if you keep going down the Wisconsin River, you'll end up over there.
Jason
So,
has good points.
He's really smart, actually.
no, I just kind of got the maps up here, you know?
I blew out my underwear before.
I'm not wearing none.
You know, like I know no free ads, but I think before we did talk about the, what was it? The,
Why do you guys hear that buzzing? You hear that buzzing?
yeah, I think we all hear it.
I don't hear that.
I hear it.
My mic's
buzzing.
not loud enough, but the audience can't hear it, so that's all right.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
peppery.
I'm just going to blame Isaac for that.
Can they hear this?
I hope to God. not.
I hope so.
Josh
Badass.
shat himself.
I love
Okay.
that. Come here, baby. We're going to kill.
So back. to
Wait,
the
hold
building
on.
with,
Let me recheck.
Oh, God. So a duck got into
real.
the studio.
That was real. I like that. Okay, Dave.
Oh
So-
my God. I thought we were going to do this better.
So Taliesin's
This is
history in
bad.
Wisconsin is the story of Frank Lloyd Wright's personal roots, architecture, experimentalization, and repeated tragedy and renewal, all that good stuff. So it's basically, if you were to boil down like a lot of big parts of his life, all of his influence, it basically boils down into like this building that he ended up making.
So how, this is off topic, and you're the researcher.
Yeah.
How did Frank Lloyd Wright get big? Like, what was the big thing about Frank Lloyd Wright that everybody liked?
So his style of architecture took a lot from like growing up. He actually had a lot of family in that area of Spring Green, and he fell in love with the Driftless area, or the Driftless region, which we can probably, I don't know, geology isn't probably, or geography is not our
Southwest
spot on this.
Wisconsin, starting from about Eau Claire and going south.
Yeah, but we're not going to go super into that history there because I feel like that's not our...
Jason, I'm not going to listen to a guy that just shat his pants earlier on this podcast.
But yeah, so the Southwest
how dare
area of
you not listen to
Wisconsin,
Isaac?
back in the Ice Age, or the most recent one, none of the glaciers hit that area. So like the geography in there, gorgeous. Like if any of our listeners need a place to go,
it's a lot of rolling hills. So they built a special kind of architecture because of these hills, or
exactly. So a lot of that is that whole like prairie school of architecture that I just mentioned. So a lot of like the limestone bluffs, sharp cliffs, like the outcrops, like a lot of that he took into like how he designed his buildings, and just people of the time just absolutely loved it. So he has like that, like I forgot what it was called, like, whoa, don't break that glass there, but
Mom!
Like there's that building that he had, like, was it like Falling Rock or Falling Brook or something, where it's like
Falling Water.
Yeah, Falling Water, where it's like has like, it was basically like built into the side of the hill with like that creek going
with a waterfall, basically
had a
down.
Waterfall in the building. So his big thing was incorporating a lot of like nature into the design of his buildings.
I mean, Frank Lloyd Wright, I mean, we're a little biased because we're from Wisconsin, was probably one of the
I'm not from Wisconsin.
You're from Wisconsin.
Easily the best American, like
one of the best
architecture of all time.
Yeah,
so.
Especially of the 20th century, I'd say.
Exactly.
He designed the Village Inn.
That's true.
He did.
It was in
really
that
cool
style.
place.
It was in that style.
And
like when you go there and you stare at
He
the
blueprinted the Village Inn.
right? That's crazy.
In South Wayne, Wisconsin.
Yeah, he's got like tons of buildings like all throughout like the Midwest that you can like check out. Like I know there's like this whole like the Frank Lloyd Wright Trail where you can like, go through, check out a bunch of buildings that he's done. Like the Taliesin is like one of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. It's like a National Historic Landmark. And currently it's a like living educational and cultural site managed by the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation. It's gone through 3 iterations. We're going to go to the reason why there's been 3 of them in this, but like the current one is basically like Taliesin 3.
Don't tell me it's like a Winchester House type of thing, Jason.
That might be another episode.
Oh, man.
But Taliesin begins with Wright's maternal family. So they were the Lloyd Joneses. They moved into what is going on?
Sausage.
Okay, so a large Welsh immigrant family who ended up basically in Wisconsin, and his
Welsh
founded up. Yeah, we love mining. The Welsh love their pasties, mining, all that good stuff.
Momo!
This does not have anything to do with Momo or Missouri.
But does it have anything to do with Mimel?
No.
Oh.
This is not a Mimel or an evil Mimel episode.
I started from Isaac.
But Wright, he's spent a lot of his childhood summers in his Uncle James' farm, and a lot of those summers shaped his lifelong belief in organic architecture and the idea that buildings should grow naturally from the landscape, kind of like what we were talking about before, where everything should kind of like blend in with the area it's around in order to like look and feel like the best. So whether that's like the design itself, using like materials from the area to build it, things along those lines, like all of that should be a part of the building. And if it's going to be there, it needs to be part of the landscape.
Isn't that every house ever, though?
Not necessarily nowadays, but that was like his big thing when designing them, was like it needs to like, it's not just like in the environment, it's part of it. Like that's kind of part of the thing.
Ergo architecture.
Is it based on the materials of the house or like the shape of the house?
Ergo architecture.
It's more based on like...
It's almost all of it.
Yeah, I would say a lot of it's the blending the house with the environment.
Yeah. So like...
Yeah, because sorry.
Arizona.
I was going to say like the Taliesin, like because it's like in that driftless area, like a lot of those like bluffs and outcroppings and like the sharp cuts where like the Wisconsin River will cut through, like once you kind of like get outside of like the area where it used to like run through. He like did like a lot of like, so a lot of like the wood beams and stuff were stuff sourced like from the area. A lot of like the stucco and stuff on the inside. It wasn't stucco, but like whatever the plaster was made to kind of like use like the same kind of like he was like the sand of the Wisconsin River and like things like that, where it's like he wanted to be like a very like part of the area. Like that was his big thing.
Yeah, and a lot of A lot of the major Frank Lloyd Wright houses, and especially the ones even after he was gone and his students took him on, they look out from bluffs in the Driftless area. So they're like, you'll see like a lower level, come in, you'll walk in, and then like the main living room, like the main entertaining area is like a big vaulted ceiling, open window area looking out over the expanses of the bluff.
All right, I'm just going to be a little Frank and Lloyd Wright here.
Oh!
I'm not a architecture fucking nerd. I want to hear
ain't
about
nothing.
some spooky
Hey.
stuff. Jason, lay the spooky on me.
We'll get there.
Jason, kiss me.
Why is the house
Kiss me!
spooky?
So first we got to get into a little bit of like some of his history. So
Huh?
after his schooling or whatever, he had a wife and a family, the whole 9 yards, was living in Illinois.
Frank Lloyd?
Frank Lloyd Wright.
Jason, when are we going to
So
elope?
he's like a three-name guy.
Hey,
He's not just Frank Wright.
He's not Frank Wright.
And he's not
he used
Lloyd.
to be Frank Lincoln Wright, but because of like his mom's side of the family that were like the Lincoln or Frank
Continental.
Lloyd, it was like something. I just said it a little bit ago. I don't know.
When are
Lloyd
we getting
Jones
married?
is-
Jason,
he-
when are we getting married?
What?
When are we getting married?
I'm already married to Josh. We got married.
Josh,
in
what the...
Vegas.
They
We did get married in Vegas.
This is a DEI podcast.
Yeah.
Hell, I guess I got to marry you.
But
right?
anyways,
No.
it used to be Frank Lincoln Wright. He changed it to Frank Lloyd Wright to honor his mom's side of the family. That's
So it's like a hyphenated. So it is actually like a three-name thing. Frank
well,
Lloyd
he
Wright.
changed his middle name to Lloyd instead of Lincoln because
Okay.
the Lincoln was actually for Abraham Lincoln.
What?
Really?
Yeah, they
What?
wanted to honor Abe Lincoln. He's a
Wait,
cool guy. But
That
long
wasn't
story
it.
short, after his schooling and whatever, he lived in Illinois for a while and was basically building houses for people because he was like awesome at what he did. There was one client in particular that he designed a house for in about 1903. And while he was building that building, he ended up meeting the guy's wife, and the two of them hit it off really well.
Whoa.
And
oh, Doc.
I know that's a little controversial at the time. So there may or may not have been a little
Tyler is
affair,
dying.
and both of them may or may not have split off from their spouses, married each other, and then ran off to Europe for a certain period of time. But being a bunch like a pair of
Tyler's
people from the
dying
States,
so bad.
they wanted to come back. So in about 1910, they decided to come back, and they kind of had to eat crow a little bit and just own up to the fact that, hey, yes, we had an affair and we did do all this stuff and all that. So while Frank Lloyd Wright was kind of like dealing with the public about, because he was a pretty well-respected figure at this time, like dealing with, yeah, I had an affair and all blah, blah, blah. In the background,
So did Craig Culver of Culver's.
what?
What?
That might have to be a future episode.
What's his name?
The dark history of Culver's.
What's his name?
Ba-ba-bam.
So Frank Lloyd Wright kind of like saw like a path to get out of the limelight from Illinois. So he's like, you know, I really did love this area in Wisconsin growing up. I'm just
Jason, I'm
gonna
going to need you to take a 2-second pause. Isaac just threw a jelly bean from across the room and it landed in my glass. And I think that means I'm going to have to finish this sake
You're gonna
I
have to
just poured
slam
myself.
that.
Isaac's no longer.
So there is a little bit of behind the scenes manipulation. So like
Manipulate
like-
me, baby.
Frank Lloyd Wright was like writing to clients, like asking for a little bit of money so that he could go about building a small house for his mother and things like that. Frank Lloyd Wright's mother and
Jason,
signed the
the
deed for the
spooky.
property.
The
Wait, the guy's an
spooky.
architect and he was going to build a small house for his mom?
We're getting into that.
Tyler is still dying.
I know.
Tyler doesn't look so good.
I'd like to set up a story for when we
Jason,
get to
I'm
the
your
end
buddy.
of it. I'm sorry that you don't have the
Jason, you're
attention.
talking like how I talk before people start yelling at me.
Yeah, well, they're currently yelling at me, so I feel that.
Tyler, eat this horseradish and fix yourself.
So Frank Lloyd Wright's mother signed the deed for the property, and because of that, he was able to get it without attracting a bunch of attention because he was under a lot of public scrutiny with the affair. And late in the summer, his baby mama, Martha, like having legally divorced the husband, finally moved into the area.
Martha.
Exactly.
Tyler's
So,
alive.
In
That was the worst
1911,
part of
they
that movie.
started building up the actual place. So the design of the original building was really consistent with the design principles of the Prairie School, kind of like what we were talking about before, the flatness of the plains of the area, natural limestone of the driftless area, certain things bringing in like the whole like look of the Wisconsin
Jason,
River.
where's the
and,
spooky?
you know, we're just about to get there because he like I said, that was 1911. They build it up, lots of cool stuff. People
Jump to
loved it, and whatever.
1935.
Now we're in 1914. So the household included Martha, her 2 kids from her previous children, and then at the place they had a bunch of draftsmen, laborers, and people that were like working under Frank Lloyd Wright. Underneath him, like Frank Lloyd Wright was away on business, but on August of 1914, one of their servants set fire to the residential wing of the building.
What happened?
So in August 15th, while he was away, at lunchtime, Martha and her 2 children, so there's an 8-year-old, a 12-year-old, so they sat down on the porch, like, to eat. Inside the main dining room at the other end, a long passageway, is draftsmen, laborers.
And they saw
They were
dinosaurs.
also gathered around, and then they were being served lunch by a dude that they had hired who was like originally from Barbados.
Served lunch by a dude from Barbados.
Yeah.
What was his name?
What was that dude?
Julian Carlton. He was a handyman and a servant, and he had spent the summer waiting tables.
I'm
and
sure he's pretty
house
handy.
work and all that kind of stuff.
I don't like that you were ready for that question.
Handy? Handy! I got a rubber band on my
So
feet.
as everyone was eating like dinner or lunch or whatever time of day it was, like there's a 19-year-old draftsman and his table mates. They noticed something unusual. He's like, yeah, as we were eating, like we heard just like swishes of water like thrown underneath one of the doors. And they're like, okay, like what the hell's going on? And then there was like, they noticed some fluid. They're like, it looked like weird dishwater. It just kind of like spread out all over the place.
And this is during the fire.
Well, they were just eating lunch, and then all of a sudden went,
So they didn't realize there was a fire.
well, it's because
we still talk about the guy that built houses?
our Barbados friend was basically putting like
Barbados
kerosene
Slim.
and shit
Barbados Slim.
just all underneath like the doors and all over the hallways, and then just lit it on fire.
He didn't like cooking at all.
Barbados lit the house on fire?
Exactly.
Not Barbados.
This is a Frank Lloyd Wright house?
Yes.
When was this, before or after he flew the first flight?
That's not him.
Those are the Wright
That's a little
brothers.
bit different.
Oh, I'm the bad guy. Thank you, Ty.
So, like, basically, Carlton instructed, like, his own wife, apparently, to, like, his wife and kids were told to, like, the Barbados guy said to his own wife and kids, like, get out of the house.
You out of the house.
And then he
I plan
basically
to put
lit
it
it all
down.
on fire.
He's not Eagle.
So he ended up, like,
Yeah.
going around, not only, like, lighting the place on fire, was going around with an axe and just started, like, attacking.
So he was like full Shining mode.
Oh, yeah, like,
I like
basically
him.
the full, like, The Shining.
I want him as the
Dining
butler.
room- The dining room where the workers were was like fully on fire. The doors had been locked. Clothes were burning. Hair was on fire.
My hair's
and
on fire!
All sorts of stuff like that. Like there were like dudes who were jumping out of windows, trying and then rolling.
How many
trying to
people are in this house?
And how many of
No,
them
there
were
were a
fully
lot of
dressed?
people in there because it was like, you know, Frank Lloyd Wright's, I guess,
He had his
mistress,
servants.
but
He had his servants, and
Slavery.
his servants had
and
servants.
just people who worked for him, just who were like there for like drafting and stuff like
I'm
that.
just- I'm just an accountant.
Exactly. So imagine
ride
you're
horses.
just having like lunch at your boss's place where you worked, and all of a sudden the place got lit on fire.
Been there 4 days ago, baby.
Yeah. So like another carpenter was like horribly like burned. A landscaper was able to kind of like escape. They ran like a half mile to the nearest house and were able to like phone for help. But ultimately it was like Martha. So the guy, like, you know, the previous dude's mistress who ended up marrying her 2 previous children, 2 workers, and another like 13-year-old boy ended up dying from the burns. So hours after, like when, I don't know how long of a response time it took that it was like hours after, but they found our Barbados guy. Like he was kind of like in the basement, still clutching the axe that he had been like attacking people with. Like he tried to kill himself by like drinking some like diluted acid that they use for like washing the concrete and stuff like that. But
That sounds awful.
it kind of just like burned out his throat and it didn't kill him right away. So he was kind of just like in
Yelling.
horrific shape for like
Jason,
a
this
week
is-
or
this
two,
is
and then he died.
Effed up, yo.
Well, you wanted the scary part, so like we're getting to
Yeah,
it.
but that's like
first up.
murderer part. I thought
But
we were
why
talking
did the
about.
Barbados do that?
I thought we were gonna
Yeah.
do some Scooby Doo shit.
Why did the Barbados do
Well,
that?
I can go home. You go have a guy with no throat. And
But
be like, hello. hold on.
Basically, like because he wasn't really able to talk.
No, he
people
has
were
no throat.
never
He's just
able
gonna
to
be
get, like,
going,
a proper solution to a
Gotta
fight.
eat.
All right,
You
Jake,
drinky.
The
Jason,
guy's
can you
wife was
repeat
just
that?
like he just kind of they never really had a reason for like why he did it, because he couldn't talk due to trying to drink acid and whatever, and he just kind of like died of, starvation and sickness kind of stuff from just having all that like destroyed. Like his wife was just kind of like, yeah, in the last week or two, he'd just been kind of weirdly withdrawn and stuff, but nothing really out of the ordinary. We were supposed to leave in like a week or two because they were supposed to go back to Chicago. So there were a bunch of like rumors and stuff about whether like workers had been like harassing him, or it had been like demons or any other things like that had been like talking to him on like why he needs to do this. But like when it came to like after the fire or whatever, like Frank Lloyd Wright was like, that had been like the most horrible, lowest part of his life. He's like, everything I had loved was like in this place and just
because his mistress was there.
Exactly.
So was he successful in life?
In life, yes. He did end up like rebuilding the place, and it ended up expanding a lot of the place where he's.
So his wife and kids were there, plus his mistress.
Well, no. Like he
That's
divorced
successful.
his
That's
wife,
successful.
married his mistress, and it was like his mistress's 2 kids from the previous marriage.
So it's still his wife.
Get out of my life, Josh.
And it's not like he didn't like the kids.
Give it to
kind of
Jason.
thing. Like,
Okay.
so like he tried to like build a place that was even more in tune with nature and even better, because like,
So that was his personal home.
Yeah, they almost called it like his like little like almost like love shack in a way, because like how he brought his mistress there and everything.
Where was his house at?
In
Ryan
Spring
just
Green,
had too much
basically.
horse Spanish.
He was at the American Players Theater?
Yes.
Yeah. So with the
Right now?
with
Ryan,
the
tell me how you
Taliesin
feel right
2,
now.
after he rebuilt it,
This
a
too
couple
shall
years
pass.
later, that one actually ended up burning down again due to like, they said bad wiring, but he was just kind of like, what he publicly said was like, it even burned out the notion that the tragedy, like the previous tragedy, could be kept at bay. Like there's like, he tried to like rebuild it to hide what had happened before, but he's like, it burned
But it
down
burned
again.
again.
And he's like,
What happened to Barbados?
That's still there.
He died due to like drinking acid and starving to death. So, because like he couldn't eat and was just in prison. But so there was another rebuild, which is more or less the current one. They bought out some more.
So you can still
property.
go there.
So like you can go there now. Like we could have a future episode over there even.
Okay.
But
Isaac and Poop and Frank Lloyd
at
Wright
this
toilet.
current place, like there are often like people have said like, as they're like say shutting down for the night or whatever, they'll close things up or whatever. It's like they'll come back, things are like wide open. There are a lot
My
of
house!
reports of like a woman in like a white dress who's
My house!
just, like over there looking incredibly like sad and depressed, that they've been
Ed
able
Hot.
to like ping back to as Martha, like who was
Burnett.
his wife before at that point.
My house.
There's a lot of like there's been like reports of like 1 or 2 dark figures who were just
Darth
kind of
Vader?
Vader's.
dark figures slumped over in chairs, just kind of like in the shadows at that place too. So
Did they fall?
even though they've been able to like rebuild like twice after
Okay,
fires,
so you got the spooky a little later. The house burned down a few times, and then people have seen ghosts there.
the ghosts of not only the mistress, but like unidentified people that could either be like
So,
workers,
Jason,
murderers, or
I might infer a little bit. Do you think this place is cursed?
Oh!
it does seem a little cursed
Oh.
because not like even with like
Don't do that.
after they rebuilt the first time, even Frank Lloyd Wright himself said like you could not hide the tragedy that
But
happened.
he
Because
let
of the
his-
land it was on?
Yeah, because like there was like a fire.
It's like the
Hide-
Winchester Mansion.
Because he
Can't hide this tragedy either.
Wait, can we do a podcast in the... Nah. Can we do a podcast
Josh's
in the
pants
Winchester
are
one?
broken.
Mama! Mama!
No, we can't. That's in California. So I'm going to go
Oh.
around the table. So
Ask guys
obviously
get
there's a lot
time.
of
Ask guys at time.
there's a lot of tragedy at this house.
Tragedy.
Tragedy.
Oh.
There's multiple fighters. Poor Barbados.
Ask guys.
I love that guy.
Ask guys.
Isaac, what do you think? Is this place cursed?
No. I think that just because he couldn't fly an airplane, he decided to build a house, and then he just thought that he could just build houses.
All right, you have the wrong Wright brothers. That's all right. Josh, we'll go to you.
I think that this place is probably cursed. Repeated burning downs of buildings is pretty common when it comes to like repeat curses and just places with bad juju. I also think Isaac is stupid because he doesn't know what guy flies an airplane and what guy builds a house.
I rode a truck.
Ryan, what do you think about this?
Ryan's still here?
I think Barbados was probably just mistreating like a shrunken head and just defiles the voodoo gods, and that was just a very unfortunate voodoo god event in Wisconsin.
So just one event.
Barbados is an island.
Because it happened multiple times where the house burned down.
We talking about Barbados, the island?
You don't want to mess with voodoo. I learned that from Maker Man.
Barbados is a guy. Jason, what do you think? You researched the most about this.
Jason, give me a kiss.
Cursed.
It does seem like a cursed area.
Give me a kiss.
But you can go in there now.
Not over the mic. Maybe if we had video.
No, Jason, what the?
All right, I'm going to end this. What I think is, it's a place of high strangeness. Honestly, if you guys have ever been to House on the Rock,
It's creepy.
that Frank Lloyd Wright built, it's creepy. Like, I don't know if there's some occult stuff.
The airplane guy built that house, dude.
The airplane guy built that house. Isaac.
Oh my lord,
There's a lot of creepy stuff with Frank Lloyd Wright. Honestly,
dude! I don't like that place.
If you guys are in the Driftless region, there's a lot of Frank Lloyd Wright stuff there. Architecture is really cool. There's a lot of small towns that have Frank Lloyd Wright architecture.
The Wright brothers.
You should check it out. But I don't know what I think because I'm dumb. But what I do know is I'm drinking Pecatonica beer. I'm drinking pickle beer. I'm drinking St. Bernardus.
What's Isaac drinking?
Sake. Isaac is drinking jizz. This is a bushy thing.
Oh, what a dick.